Good evening and welcome, my friends beyond the screen. I'm Taylor, your casual crypt keeper, and I've got something for you today. Today, we're going to be taking a look through the good book. Well, not for any good reasons though. We won't be looking for any revelations or psalms. Instead, we'll be thumbing through the pages looking for the most terrifying demons ever given names. Keep a little holy water handy. Maybe make a salt circle around your computer just in case as we dive into the top 5 terrifying demons. Before we get right into it, let me know down below in the comments if you have a favorite demon. I know that's an odd request if you have a favorite demon, but shout it out. Doesn't even have to be one from this list. It can be a fictional demon if you'd like. My favorite demon's probably a Keiko demon from Doom, so go ahead, get wild with it. Now let's get into it. Number 5, the Legion. Now maybe this is a cheat to start off this list because this is technically supposed to be a top 5 list, but I think including this one might make it a top 500,000 list, roughly. This next demon is known as Legion, for it is many. The Legion's first appearance comes to us from the Gospel of Mark. That's a very early issue, so if you still have that, hold on to it, collector's value. Wherein Jesus Christ was wandering, encountering a young man who seemed to be possessed by a demon. When Jesus spoke to the man, he asked for the name of the demon inside him so he could exorcise him properly. And the demon spoke back and answered saying, "Legion, for there were many devils inside him." As with any demon, this demon was driving its host to behave like an animal, trying to compel the man to sin, acting violently and aggressive. Now, JC exorcised the demon, and upon being exorcised, asked if it could be transferred to a herd of pigs to live out its demony days, to which Big JC obliged. Now, the Legion is pretty atypical when it comes to demons. It's not the prince of anything, or the embodiment of any one sin. The Legion, as the name might imply, is made up of countless individual little demons, all living inside one person like a big demon jamboree. There'd be so many demons inside you, there wouldn't even be any room for you. The Legion works like a demony hive mind, all moving together in unison. Sometimes Satan's armies are referred to as the legions of hell, but I guess the Legion is its own thing, which must make labeling pretty confusing. No one's exactly sure what sort of demons the Legion are, just that there's a lot of them working together in blissful demon harmony. As well, no one can really determine what the Legion is supposed to look like, but just know if you've ever seen a horde of literally anything, most likely would look like that, and not particularly pleasant. One demon is bad enough, let alone a couple 100,000 all in one place. That's just too many demons per square mile, square inch, square whatever measurement. Too many demons. And if you're looking for way more demons, if that's not enough demons for you, well, we've got stories of all kinds of horned beasts and snake-headed monsters and winged terrors on top 5 scary for you, and then some. If demons aren't your jam, we got ghosts, we got ghouls, we got goblins, we got conspiracies, we got anything scary you can think of. Hit subscribe, hit that little bell as well, and don't miss a single scream. But do that at the end of this video, because I got 4 more demons coming up for you right now. Number 4, Belphegor. A demon who's had his heyday in pop culture. Maybe you recognize Belphegor from Supernatural's first fledgling season, all the way back when the boys were wide-eyed and hadn't even died once yet. Or maybe you're a big JRPG fan, maybe you're a Persona fan, and you recognize Belphegor as the perpetually bored demon on the can. And if you're like me, and you never stopped to ask why this enemy in a video game was a demon that was sitting on the toilet, maybe you just figured, hey, it's a video game, there's a talking cat, there's a dream world, you play as a teenager who has a healthy sleep schedule and a healthy social circle, it's not a realistic game, maybe you didn't think about it. But there's a reason for this foul demon's appearance. He's one of the 7 princes of hell, the demonic icon of sloth, and his favorite offering isn't blood or a fresh goat, but a little mud pie. Feces, if you want to get technical. I'm not going to judge, and I'm not going to ask what he's doing with it. Old lore has it that if you wanted to summon Belphegor, you just had to bring him a lot of feces. There's no metric volume ever listed, just a lot. If you do summon him, he'll trade you wondrous riches, expand your ability to discover new things, but at the cost of the temptation of your mortal soul, and also you'll probably never have clean hands again. I'm sorry, I don't usually work so blue. It's the lazy man's comedy, although perhaps that's fitting for the demon prince of sloth. Now, Belphegor has been depicted in all manner of ways over the years. Sometimes he appears as these esoteric things like tree branches, or takes the form of beautiful women. But one wood carving in the 18th century of him sitting on an 18th century toilet sealed his fate forever, and since then he has always been depicted as a horned demon on a porcelain throne. Belphegor, if you're watching this video, I want to make something clear. I'm not making fun of you. I'm just trying to make sense of this. What are you doing with that stuff? Where is it going? What are you doing with it? Number 3, Mammon. Hey, look, there's nothing wrong with wanting a little bit, right? It's nice to want, you know, we all want things. A little money, a little power, you know? Now, for most of us who weren't born into a Fortune 500 lineage, might be a little bit tricky, unless you've got a little bit of help. Maybe like from Mammon, the embodiment of human greed. You know, he's actually a lot more generous than his position as greed demon might suggest, you know? If you give over your eternal soul and pledge yourself to an eternity in his service, he might reward you with great riches. That's a pretty solid transaction. Mammon is thought to originate from an ancient word for wealth, and it's thought that this is where Mammon was first born from, was mankind's inherent desire for wealth and greed twisted out of subconscious want. Curse us for wanting. The Gospel of Luke and Matthew both directly quote, "You cannot serve both God and Mammon," meaning you can't have a pious life on a quest for massive wealth, and taken literally later to mean you can't also serve one of the 7 princes of hell and worship God. That kind of makes sense. Mammon is greedy, real greedy. It's said of all the archdukes and princes of hell, Mammon is more concerned with staring at the gold pavement than any of Lucifer's rebellion or business of the heavens, taken to mean that Mammon does not concern himself with anything that doesn't involve cold hard coin, baby. He's on that grind set 24/7. He's out there getting demon bags. Racks on racks on racks on racks. Now, the demon of greed has taken many forms over the years, most often looking like a fairly normal human sitting on a big golden throne looking down on those who would call for him. He's also been associated with a wolf and is believed to be able to take the form of one for dealing on Earth. It's said that part of the arcane ritual to evoke Mammon is to imagine your spirit as a golden wolf calling out to him. Now, if you do invoke Mammon, a little advice from me, just be sure you're being reasonable about this. You never know what happens if you get too greedy with a demon. Number 2, Beelzebub. Okay, the rest of these demons been small fries. Now we're getting into the big hitters. Beelzebub is thought to be one of the first angels to have ever fallen to hell, alongside Leviathan and Lucifer himself. He and Lucifer actually have a bit of an identity crisis, as the two are sometimes thought to be interchangeable. They got like similar haircuts, I think. Some demonologists, and yeah, there are people who call themselves demonologists, argue Beelzebub is another name for Lucifer. Some pose he's one of his most trusted lieutenants. No one can agree, but whatever he is pretty scary. His history is fairly interesting. It's thought that his namesake is a mockery of the ancient god Baal, a Bronze Age god of fertility. Some scholars believe Beelzebub's name comes from Beelzebub, meaning Lord of the Flies, inferring that the followers of Baal are nothing more than flies worshipping a dung god. The Lord of the Flies sort of ended up becoming Beelzebub's de facto title, with almost all depictions of him featuring flies in ubiquitous amounts. Occasionally, he's even depicted as a giant fly. It's very Kafkaesque. Beelzebub is said to be one of the most powerful demons inside of Hell's domain, capable of great and control over humanity. Beelzebub was cited during the Salem witch trials as the entity that had corrupted and swayed so many women to witchery, so we have him to thank for goth girls, I guess. There's a bit of a discrepancy as to what sin Beelzebub is thought to preside over, with some offerings saying pride and some saying gluttony, but more often gluttony, which I think seems a little more fitting for flies. Anyway, I've never met a particularly proud fly. And number 1, Asmodeus. Now yes, it probably would have made a lot of sense to have Lucifer or Satan as the number 1 spot on this list. I mean, king of hell and all that. Let's give him an honorable mention. Let's give him a little clap. Let's give him a little equal attention. Yay, Satan. Hail Satan and all that. You're a great guy. Yeah. And let's say he's the number 0 spot, just because I thought it was a little too obvious, and I'm pretty sure most of you know who Satan is. And there's other demons to talk about. You know, I'm all about glowing up underrated demons, some of that, hidden talent. So filling in at the number 1 spot is Asmodeus, one of the princes of hell and the embodiment of the cardinal sin of lust. It's one of the best sins there is. Asmodeus fell from heaven along the other fallen angels, reforming as a prince of hell. Asmodeus is said to have been married to Lilith, the primordial she-demon, famed for her banishing from the Garden of Eden and for destroying Fraser Crane's life. Lilith was cursed and banished for her defilement and depicted as a temptress, and Asmodeus was like, I'm super into that stuff, Lilith. You want to procreate an endless stream of demons into the world and reign over a dominion of chaos? And the rest is wedded bliss. Now, depictions of Asmodeus vary pretty wildly. Occasionally he's a handsome fella, but most commonly he's depicted as a squat, vaguely humanoid creature with rooster legs, tail of a snake, 3 heads, a bull, a goat, and a scruffy demon head as the center. Asmodeus presides over lust with the help of his beloved Lilith. The two tempt humans with madness and desire to ruin people with lechery. Apparently this wasn't enough for him, as some stories also described Asmodeus as having command over the betting halls of hell and is responsible for tempting men's souls towards gambling. So what I'm hearing is that Asmodeus is in charge of lust and gambling, so he probably parties harder than absolutely anybody in hell. I don't know, sounds kind of cool. That's why he's at the #1 spot today. Well, my ghouls and goblins, that's about all she wrote for this one. You creeping on now. Take it easy, and I'll see you in the next one, provided I haven't been excommunicated by the Catholic Church. Take it easy. Fuck, I can't breathe today. Actually, running out of breath. #2, Beelzebub.